Pump it up, pump it up.
Trae.
Come on, come on.
With Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
It's the day with Trae.
This is the day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation, to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peeps that make this thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I want to welcome you to a wonderful Wednesday. I'm so excited, y'all, because I got acts on stage in the building once again. We're going to be talking about King X, The Meeting. All right, The Meeting that never happened. They are putting on an amazing production to give us a glimpse of what it could have been, y'all. So I'm so excited that they're here in the building. I got Isiah Anderson Jr. Y'all know him and love him out there. He is definitely the head of creative over at Acts on Stage. So I'm so excited that he's joining me. And then we have the brother who is playing Reverend Dr. King himself. Moses Masitha is in the building, and I'm so glad that he's joining me as well. So y'all know I'm excited to start this show. Of course, it is the top of the show though. So it's a perfect time to tag and share this stream right here. Just go ahead and participate with us, y'all. Y'all are helping us grow our audience. We appreciate you. Tag and share the stream with folks who benefit from a daily dose of dopeness right here on The Day with Trae. If you can't watch our TV show, we still got you covered, because you can listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network and The Day with Trae. You'll find me on whichever platform is your favorite. We're on all of them. So go ahead and search for us and you will find us there. Well, y'all know when I get theater in the building, it's time to get right to it. So up next, we have Isiah Anderson Jr. giving us some background about this amazing production put on by Acts on Stage. What's up, Isiah?
What's good, lady?
Good to see you again.
It's always good to be here. Thank you.
Well, y'all are always doing some phenomenal works, and this is one that I think a lot of people are already kind of talking about. They're buzzing about it. Tell us what got this one to hit the stage.
King X, The Meeting. Acts on Stage has allowed me to do exactly what I've been wanting to do for about 35, 40 years. And that's anything that makes me feel good, anything that gets to tell a story. And so that I got my grooming from Langston Hughes Performing Arts Center is a blessing. And so years ago, about 30 years ago, somebody said to me, hey man, it'd be nice if you and Carl Mack were to do The Meeting. And I was like, The Meeting? They was like, yeah, this play about Martin and Malcolm meeting for the first time. And I was like, that sounds good. And of course, it never happened. And now, 30 plus years later, in my own theater, Acts on Stage, I get to do just that. I get to dive into and give people an inside look at Martin and Malcolm and just what would they have said to each other? How would they have responded to each other? And we know how social media, we know what the world wanted us to think about the two of them, right? But what would they have said? And so this is that. And we have a good time doing it.
Well, this is one of those stories that I think really kind of sparks interest in a lot of different folks, as you said, just kind of, everyone having their own take on what this could have been. So putting this together, I know is probably drawing from some inspiration too, that you also may have understood it when you're bringing these characters to life. Tell us about how, you utilize your creative ability to bring these iconic characters to life in the cast members that you have in this show.
Without a doubt. So not only do I get to take what my history says to me was Martin and who was Malcolm, but that I get to take these characters now, these gentlemen who decided to take on these roles. Moses, who you'll get to meet, brings a definite perspective that from South Africa, I do believe that he has this knowledge of, wait a minute, we were dealing with a Mandela thing, and Martin, you guys were dealing with a Martin thing, and how it tied in. And so it's so interesting. Like, Moses doesn't say a lot, but when he says something, you go, feel kind of unfair that you kept that from me. You know what I mean? So it's just really powerful. And then I get insight from, a good friend of mine, Jamil Shabazz, right? Jay Styles, who's advocate, avid Muslim. And I said, yo, bro, I need you to give me some insight. Because I don't ever want to take on the perspective that I know what was what and how things are thought of. And so I'm always reaching out and getting insight from others so that I can better, portray what we need to see.
Yeah. Well, you've done such a great job of not only, bringing your talents to Acts on Stage. I mean, you were in shows before. And so I want to talk about that transition for you, right? From being, on the stage and now producing acts on stage,
Yes.
literally, right? Like that transition from, someone who understands like characterization because you've done it to then bringing that out in other people. I know we've talked about this a little bit, but never really connecting it to the fact that you were them at one point in time.
Listen, I still,
Yeah.
let me say this. Anybody who wants to direct me in a play, please call me, cast me in something. I want to get back on stage so bad.
Oh, I love it.
I do. But that I still have it. I get to share it with the cast, and a lot of casts we work with at Acts on Stage are first timers on stage. And so it's wonderful to see them, the light bulbs come on when certain characteristics hit them and they go, now I know what you mean. And so it's a beautiful thing that I have that. But I want it back. Okay.
Ready to get back out there.
I'm ready.
I love it. Well, you also have someone who is very near and dear to the Converge Media family here, Sean Good, in the show, playing Malcolm X. And this is huge for Sean because, we have known his amazing usage of words. He's always been someone who's come right here to Converge and always dropped so much knowledge.
Yeah.
So how was it for you to direct him? I know this is like a first for him too, right?
It is. And Sean is a character. We all know, but I love Sean. He brings this perspective that it's wonderful to watch him go, you know what, that's not what I thought it was. And to see him fall into this Malcolm character and to realize he's got some Malcolm in him, right? That he's like, I think I might be a little more Malcolm now than I was Martin, And so Sean brings that, and he's very humbled and laid back, and I'm just here to be taught. Let's make it happen. And so it's wonderful. Well,
that makes for some of the best kinds of productions, right? Is like really being able to be directed and guided. You bring your own judge to it, but also a lot of that is through, great direction, and you keep doing that. When we think about the difference between, your energy with the young folks with something like the Teen Summer Musical versus this, where it's like you got, a cast mainly of adults. Tell us more about how you have to shift or pivot in that regard when you're dealing with first-timer adults versus first-timer youth.
Now, Trae, that is an awesome question, and Michelle and I talk about it a lot. And Michelle has since said to me, Isiah, you know how when you're working with the kids and how hard you are on them? I said, yeah. She said, you need to do the same thing with the adults. You need to do, and it's hard because you're trying to, adjust and maneuver. And they have more, history, more background that you can pull from, the adults do, than the young people. But sometimes you can't blur the lines. You have to just do it. You just have to do it. And these guys are really respectful. I'm respectful. And that they respect me and the work that I've done lends me to sometimes, sound a little stern. But at the same time, I'll get on stage in a minute and say, yo, give me this. And they go, okay, I got it. And then we keep moving. So I do pretty much the same thing. It's hard for me to switch it up.
There we go. Well, I got to tell you before I let you go that my son, Johnny, is just so enthralled with the work that he gets to do with Acts on Stage. And you have been a major topic of discussion in my household because he told me, I just have to tell you this publicly, he said, when I get my first cell phone, the picture on my lock screen is going to be with me and Mr. Isiah. I said, wow. out of everyone in his life.
Man.
He said he want to make sure that you're on his screen. Now, he ain't got no phone yet. You
Yeah,
know,
right. I know
okay,
that.
But when he gets there, he was definitely, he has a special place in his heart for you. So thank you for the ways that you have poured into him specifically. I know you continue to do that.
Yes.
Of course, if folks want to connect, learn more, find a way to support Acts on Stage, please look right there in the camera and let them know how they do that.
All right, Michelle, I hope I make you proud. Acts on Stage, you can get us at any of the social media platforms that's out there. Facebook, Instagram, you name it, we're there. Look us up, actsonstage.com. You can't lose.
There it is. They got to get their tickets to this show. Running the first 2 weekends of March, yes?
First 2 weekends of March, the 1st through the 10th. Please come check out King X, The Meeting.
Oh, there it is. Thank you so much, Isiah.
Thank you.
And great timing, too, because we got like X, The Life and Times of Malcolm X, the opera. So this is a perfect time to follow up with an amazing production like this. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Y'all, I get the pleasure of continuing this amazing creative conversation because up next we got Moses Masitha in the building. He is playing Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself. We're going to hear more about his portrayal of this iconic man in American history and the world history right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Africatown Plaza is our latest affordable housing development project. It's 126 units of affordable housing over community commercial space.
It's the first time in my career, and I've been doing this for 10 years, that I was able to design for people who look like me.
Africatown Plaza is a beacon of hope.
Africatown Plaza is a love letter to the community.
Seattle Opera presents X, the life and times of Malcolm X. The story of one of the most misunderstood figures in U.S. history comes to McCall Hall for an exceptional night at the opera. Pulitzer Prize-winning composer Anthony Davis produces an American classic with influences from classical music, jazz, pop, blues, and more. Don't miss X, the life and times of Malcolm X, February 24th through March 9th at McCall Hall. Details at seattleopera.org.
You on my mind a lot, don't need no time watch. I don't know how I got you in my pocket spot. Yeah, that's babe, miss you every day. You seem like the barging down, got my heart no barging in. From the bed to the floor to the couch, might wake the neighbors up. Break you in and break you out. In the end, we gon' make a child. Then we gon' hit the show. Part 2, we don't need no pause. Here with Misty, we gon' get close, you don't need a power slide.
Copy my steel, face the fact that. Copy my steel, face the fact that.
Even if you don't love, can we stay? Maybe we could disappear. Even if you don't love, can we stay here? Maybe we could disappear.
What's up, Seattle, Rose City, Big Boise, Spokane, T-Town? I see you every weekend on Back to Besa. And of course, I'm bringing you stories from all over the PNW. You already know your girl's keeping it real everywhere I go. And of course, you can stream current episodes right now on the Fox Local app, available on your smart TV.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now is Mr. Moses Masitha. Hi, Moses.
Hi, Trae.
How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for joining us on The Day with Trae today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, this is exciting because when I have a fellow thespian in the building, I love to get down to the innards of characterization. And before we get there, what got you to say, you know what, let me give this a try, let me give this a shot?
Yeah, honestly, it was who invited me to do so, right? When Michelle and Isiah asked me to do this role, I was pretty excited simply because of the people that asked me to do it. And then following that was like, whoa, I get to portray Dr. King. That's a big deal, right? Yeah. So couldn't say no to that.
Well, it is a huge deal. And I think the portrayal always, when I think about any iconic person in history that is portrayed on the stage, there's something so personal that I think a lot of us take away from that. And so when you think about the ways that you've been able to kind of understand, you know, Dr. King in this role, tell us some of those peaks for you.
Yeah. Certainly walking into this role is that you get to learn about someone that very many people already know about. So you have to find your own unique things about him, right? And so for me, it's been really two things. One is Dr. King's commitment to this idea of nonviolence, firstly, but secondly, commitment to the human, right? He was a very human-centric person. So it mattered to him, for instance, that X was a man before he was a political activist. It mattered to him that the people that he encountered were human before they were anything else, every other title that they held. So I think learning that for me right now has been something very pleasant.
Yeah, well, that's a really great way of putting it, too. I think, you know, we've always thought about his love for people, this kind of humanitarian perspective, but it's great to hear that, look, they were human first.
Yeah.
I think that does say a lot about what the ways that people experienced him. When we think about, you know, the fact that this also sometimes can be pretty deep, right? There's a lot of depths to his character that you have to bring out, and there's certain nodes that I think exist in people's minds about how they've experienced Dr. King. What are some of those ways that you've really dove into the characterization of him while you're, you know, preparing for this role and this amazing show? Yeah,
I think there's a way that people could potentially dismiss him as being a pacifist just because he was a nonviolent person. But I think Dr. King was incredibly radical. I think in reading about him and studying who he was, I think the ideas he held for the time that he was in were extremely radical ideas. And I think as he engages in X, even in this fictionalized conversation, there's a realization between the two that though they may hold polar opposite ideologies, by the end of the conversation, they were in fact not that opposite of one another. They were both radicals in different ways. So I think for me, that idea has really resonated, that Dr. King was extremely radical. To love another person to the point where you want to humanize them is a radical act. There's a line that the playwright covers very well where King says that nonviolence for him is not something that he does because he likes it. He does it because it's right. It's a way of God, as it were, that invites people to participate in being more humane than they ever were. So I think to recognize him as radical is something very essential.
Yeah, I really appreciate that perspective. I too agree there, and I think you're absolutely right. More came out about Dr. King, kind of even after his death, was, you know, the idea of him, even the famous line, you know, I think I've led my people to a burning bush. That, I think, never got the type of, you know, media coverage that all of the other, you know, speeches got. But when he got toward the end there, he was realizing some things that I think are really important, especially when we think about the differences that we experience kind of through media between he and Malcolm X. So I love hearing you say that, because I think that's also very true. And what I'm seeing in a lot of Black liberation movements now is the resurrection of that idea, the resurrection of that connection, honestly, between the two of them. Of course, both of them were gone too soon. And so I want to just ask you about kind of the ways maybe that's portrayed, because obviously when we think about some of the amazing radicals over the course of our history, many of them were young and gone too soon. And so how does that resonate with you as you take this character into life? Yeah,
there's a line in the show where X asks King about that, right? Says, were we in a different scenario, what kind of men would we be? And King responds and says, well, our lives would be pretty dull, which would also mean we'd live very long lives, right? So there's something about people who choose to respond to a calling like they did, that their lives tend to not be long, right? And that's not a bad thing necessarily for us. Of course, it's a bad thing that when you lose someone so young, but it's not a bad thing because ideas always outlive people. And as you're saying, right now in this era, these ideas that these people portrayed are being resurrected, right? So that's a beautiful thing, that we can now get an opportunity to essentially participate in a conversation that's been happening for so long, because it's time to resurrect those ideas, simply because we're being faced by similar issues that they were being faced with, right? What was happening in the 60s has found a way to come back to the 21st century, but it's calling a new type of radical, a new type of activist, a new type of individual who will respond to that call to be the one that's responsive to that. So I think I'm very aware as I portray this character to want to bring all those things along. That one is a participation with history. We're engaging with a fictionalized version of history here. But secondly, it's social commentary. We've entered into the current. We haven't left it to the past.
Yeah, that's a very important part here and point to bring up. And it really brings to note for me, like, there's always these personal kind of attributes when we are, portraying a character that we have to draw from, right? In terms of being able to emote so the audience experiences those nuances of the conversation as it progresses in this show. Tell us about some of those things for you where, you're drawing from those kind of personal experiences to bring that out for the audience.
So I tell you what, this has probably been the harder aspect of portraying Dr. King for me. There's a portion where Dr. King speaks about the first march he ever led, and he takes us down memory lane about what that looked like. Now, of course, as you've just mentioned, the politics is very personal. I grew up in South Africa at a time when the country was very transitional, an era of a lot of marches. I was kicked out of university because I led a protest march. So there's things there to me that become very traumatic. And I don't know if Isiah could say Moses hasn't hit some notes emotionally that we want him to hit, but part of it is because it's painful to go there, right? And although this script, of course, is this script is a reimagining of an interaction, but in reality, the personal is political and it's calling a lot of trauma out for a lot of people. And so I will get there, we'll hit the notes, but there's an awareness on my part that there's a difficulty to get there sometimes.
Yeah, well, this is exactly why I think these kind of breakthroughs are what the audiences experience. And that's, I know for me, when I was on stages, like that was a huge part of it for me was, if I can't open up that piece of me, it doesn't always come through. And so I appreciate you sharing that because that's like a personal thing. So thank you for sharing that. When we think about, being a part of a cast, there's always this kind of layer of, connection of the collective that I think is also really important to speak about. And I want to hear from your perspective how it's been to work with your fellow cast members on this show.
It's been incredible, right? So Isiah, who's directing the play, a luminary in the Seattle area, highly regarded, and someone that I had met previously, and now engaging with him in a work environment like this, my honor for him has just grown immensely. A lot of the cast as well, phenomenal people, both in terms of gifting, but what they've done beyond the stage in the city, right? Sean Good becomes someone who's, he plays X, and he sits directly opposite to who I am. But I'm learning him, and I'm enjoying learning that aspect of him. And because I have an outsider perspective, this South African who now engages in Seattle culture, as it were, right? These guys have been incredibly welcoming to me. Sean has opened his arms, he's opened his intellectual sense of home for me to interrogate that, to ask questions of him philosophically, ideologically, and he's really been open to respond to me in the affirmative. So I feel incredibly affirmed by the cast that I'm a part of.
That says something major, and I think it really also speaks volumes to Acts on Stage's approach to these shows, right? I mean, we're talking about uplifting local talent, and as Isiah said, sometimes these are folks who this is their first time in the state. So what that means, in terms of them understanding like, whoa, wait a minute, I can do this, or maybe I want to do this more, or, oh, I don't know, it made me open up. So there's so many different things that I think come out because Acts on Stage has this, approach that's really loving and welcoming and inviting in that regard. And so I love hearing you say that you're experiencing that with the other cast members. Of course, Moses, I got to give you time. You two get to plug the show. You got to tell people why they need to come and see this amazing show, King X, The Meeting. Look right there in that camera. Let them know why they need to come and see this show.
Hey, we would love for you to come and see the show. Really for two reasons. As I've already stated, you get to participate in a reimagining of a fictionalized conversation between X and Dr. King. Really something that many of us feel like we were shortchanged from. But secondly, not only is this a historical moment, it's really a moment to participate in current social issues, for you to offer social commentary and become a part of that. Bring your ideologies to the table, bring your philosophies to the table. They are all welcome because we are in the space of collaborative conversations. We would love to see you there, March 1st to the 3rd, and then March 7th to the 10th. I think you can find your tickets at show/X and we would love to get your tickets there. See you soon.
Moses, thank you so much for being with me. It's been a pure pleasure.
Thank you, Trae. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Y'all, he gave you the reasons why you need to go there. Of course, I'm going to give you some more right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
She can't be real.
You looking to make some money tonight?
Daughter, come help me with dinner.
Yes, Mommy.
So I told her. Hey! Hey!
You are not the first or the only. There is a lineage you're inheriting. We are the blessed ones. The blessing.
Let's
All right.
Oh my
God, it smells so good.
I'm ready, because you know I made it.
Auntie, you made the greens.
Any longer on me?
No. Here we are.
What's up, Seattle, Rose City, Big Boise, Spokane, D-Town? I see you every weekend on Back to Besa. And of course, I'm bringing you stories from all over the PNW. You already know your girl's keeping it real everywhere I go. And of course, you can stream current episodes right now on the Fox Local app, available on your smart TV.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Y'all know it gets my whole juices flowing when we get to talk about theater, because for me, there's something so special about being able to be on stage, representing characters, known and unknown, and really people in our community showcasing their talent. So huge shout out to Acts on Stage for being such an amazing hub where creativity abounds and explodes on that stage. So I'm telling y'all, I'm already excited to see it, but I got to give a huge shout out to Isiah and Moses for joining me today to give us some more reasons why we need to be there at this phenomenal show. If nothing more, you know, this is an opportunity to support Acts on Stage, which is constantly being a great cultural hub of creativity. And for me, we need to support spaces like this so that they can continue to thrive, continue to create opportunities for folks who are looking to maybe start out in their theater careers. It doesn't matter what age you are. If you are someone that is looking for these kinds of opportunities, connect with Acts on Stage, y'all. You can go to actsonstage.com. They will guide you to where you can get the tickets. Make sure that you show up to the shows that they produce, because this is, for me, this is exactly what we grew up wanting more of. They have continued so many of the legacies that we've heard about through Langston Hughes and New Black Arts West and Black Arts West Theater. I mean, we have had these phenomenal hubs, and the fact that they knew that there was a reason to have them continue is spot on for me, and it showcases what community is really about. So y'all know I was inspired all the time. I'm constantly inspired by what my guests here share. In every episode, there's something that you get to walk away with in terms of that inspiration for why you need to do something. I don't care what it is, do something, because you too can be a part of the solution, as my guests have shown you they are today. Y'all know I'm excited to be with you until tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.